Well, I have several memories, I guess. So one would be of playing volleyball at lunch in the quad. It was a good time to get to know people, and we had a lot of fun doing that. Another memory was of the interdepartmental competition during Engineers Week at UNM, and it's especially memorable to me because when I was a junior and senior, the ME department won the competition, so that was important. But the most important memory was of meeting my wife. She was also a student at UNM. I called Karen the following week, and lo and behold, she agreed to go out on a date with me, and we went to the Lobo Theater for a movie, and the following September we got married. So we've just celebrated 48 years of marriage. We have 3 wonderful children and 6 grandchildren, and all of that kind of emanated from the University of Engineering. So I have very, very fond memories of both the ME department and the school. As I look back on it now, I think that the key takeaway that I got from UNM was the ability to think in a logical way and solve unstructured problems. And that information, coupled with key mechanical engineering technologies like heat transfer and thermo and fluid dynamics, gave me the ability to go to work for a great company. Well, I would like to thank, of course, my parents, who are no longer here, but they were very important in supporting my time here at the University of New Mexico, and throughout my career, my brother and sister-in-law and my sister have always been supportive of all of the things that we've done, as well as our family. And for that, I'm really grateful. The other person at the University of New Mexico that I'd like to mention was Dr. Richard C. Dove. I was just so fortunate to have been able to participate in some of his classes. I actually worked for Dr. Dove for 1 semester and just learned a great deal from his practical experience and his caring about people, and the way he just treated us all was a very special experience for me. And I was so glad to be here last year when the Department of Engineering was able to recognize him with the endowment, and that was a special time for me. I'd also like to thank the folks that I've met since I've retired in the last 8 years from the University, Betty Carlson, Dr. Hall, and others who have been so welcoming of both Karen and I.
Really the interaction and the camaraderie we had as a group of students, helping each other through homework and studying for tests, and I think that those things are the most memorable to me. Well, it's a very broad-based degree in civil engineering, which touches a lot of the things that we as a construction company touch, from its structural steel design, concrete design, pavement design, soils engineering. It's just a really broad base that's been very helpful to me through the years, being able to communicate with the engineers that we deal with. Yes, first and foremost, I'd like to thank my wife, Pat. We've been together since before I started into the College of Engineering, so it's been a long time. But she was always there to support me, help me through, and encourage me through the struggles of late night studies and tests and the financial challenges we had as individuals. And then also Howard Mock. He's a past CEO of Janes Corporation. And in my last year of schooling and early in my career, he did a very good job, I think, of mentoring me and pointing me in the right direction. I also think my association with the School of Engineering has been good for the School of Engineering. Did a quick study, and we currently have 45 UNM graduates working for Janes Corporation. And through the 2015-2016 school year, we had 13 interns working for us. And we currently, as of today, have 8 interns And the reason we don't have 13 anymore is because we hired most of them full-time. So.
The things I remember most about my time at the School of Engineering was the blue sky environment that existed there for learning, for collaborating, and for getting into research into new things. The biomedical engineering program at the School of Engineering was the thing that first attracted me there as something new and novel. And when I studied, I was able to take courses in departments ranging from the medical school to psychology to chemistry and biology. And that diverse educational background, I think, is what really gave me something special of an education. It mixed well with the environment and background of New Mexico, the culture. The people that New Mexico tended to draw were very similar, and so it was wonderful collaborating with them. Well, interestingly enough, right as I was finishing my degree from the School of Engineering, I was able to meet my wife. If nothing else happened, that would have been enough. But the degree that I received allowed me to apply skills in industries that had been around for many years but just didn't have applications of digital technology. I was able to use computers in the printing and publishing world in ways that had never been done before and take that industry forward into the 20th century. It essentially became graphic arts into graphic sciences. So that was very rewarding to be able to use all that background that I had had and put it all together into a 25-year career. What really impresses me about the UNM School of Engineering is their recognition of alumni. It's clear that they have a sincere interest in providing an education that will be relevant to the engineers of the future by looking at what they've produced in the past. And I am forever grateful for that recognition.
The first one are the professors. They were fantastic. The office hours, you know, giving that time back to the students when we needed help, that was great. The second one, as a junior, I competed in the ACM computing program, and we won second place. There was a team of 2, so that was pretty exciting. And then the third and final that I'm sure everyone's familiar with is the Frontier Restaurant. Without the midnight coffee and the green chili, we wouldn't have made it. So that's another really good question. You know, engineering is a tough degree, period. And what I got out of the UNM program is it gave us the tools. It gave me the tools to be able to go out and be successful in my career. So programming, we learned multiple languages. I started my job with IBM immediately programming a programming language called Jovial, which we didn't learn in school, but we learned the tools on how to pick up languages. And then there's also the problem solving. You learn a methodology in engineering, and sometimes it's in your DNA, sometimes it's not. And both from a professional and a personal perspective, it gives you a new way to look at things, how to break things down into smaller pieces and then solve those problems. And then finally, it gives you a discipline to want to succeed. I remember a class, it was algorithm analysis, I think it was CS 263, very tough class. And when you passed it, there was nothing you couldn't solve, and it was a really good class. So it gave you that discipline to go out there and achieve. Well, obviously the current staff and administration in the College of Engineering, they're you know, thank you very much. I'm very honored for to get this award. Secondly, the professors that I had, 2 that stand out, Dr. Shapiro and Dr. Murray. They just really stand out in my time at UNM. And then the fellow students. You know, we worked together on things, and that was important. And finally, for all the late nights, all the rushed dinners, all the frustrating moments when the modem line would drop, I have to thank my wonderful wife for sticking with me in all this.
I'd say my favorite time when I was as a student was when I was doing my PhD and I was doing research on producing natural gas from coal seams. And so I would go up to the Navajo Reservation and collect from drilling rig samples and measure the amount of gas coming off. And I'd have to do it every hour. So I stopped at a old trading post out in the middle of nowhere and was bleeding the gas off. And an old Navajo man who was sitting outside came over and asked me if I was making unleaded or regular. And I explained what I was doing, and he was quite interested in it all and said that it probably wouldn't help him, but it might help his grandchildren. Well, that's interesting. Well, how my degree helped me is hard to say. I've started 8 different companies now. I was a professor at UNM in chemical engineering for years, of course, and then started making companies. And so it's really just a broad experience at UNM of not just the things you learn in class, but the things you learn outside of class. Well, there's 2 people I really like to thank. One is Frank Williams, who was the chairman of chemical engineering at the time when I was a student. He was my PhD advisor. And the other is Abaya Date, who's now the current chairman, who actually started it as a professor the same day I started. And even more ironically, we both worked for the same company before that. He in India and myself in New Jersey. I'm not sure which place is more foreign.
There's several favorite memories. Like my first favorite memory is at 2 a.m. finally getting a Fortran program to compile, so, which ages me, right? Fortran 77, where you're struggling in the intro to programming class. So that was my first, favorite memory. I guess others are walking out of an exam undergrad with the rest of my class that Anil Prinja gave us, and Tom and Chuck and folks were like, "Oh my God, that sucked, that was horrible," and I was like, that was fun, because I thought it was fun. It was very challenging, but it was all very doable. So, and then just, the memories of meeting and bonding with my fellow classmates over our struggles in school, and working with the staff, all that kind of stuff. When I finished my master's at UNM, which I did with Muhammad, I got a job at Sandia. It's a job that I wouldn't have gotten without a degree in nuclear engineering. I did a lot of very neat work in nuclear engineering. Sandia paid me to go back and do my dissertation with Anil, focusing on radiation transport physics. So again, that wouldn't have been an option. They wouldn't have been if it wasn't a skill set and a degree that they had interest in. So how has it enabled my life? Well, I'm blessed to have this great career that I love, working for a place that I really love. It enables me to support my kids and put food in my fridge, all those great things. I think the best thing is working at a place, it's enabled me to work at Sandia, which enables me to work on national security missions, which I think is invaluable. There's lots of people to thank in the School of Engineering and in my life. The professors that really had an impact on me were, of course, Dr. Bush, Robert Bush, right, who is, I think, still there, who was just taught a lot of our core classes and was always a great mentor to us as undergrads. Muhammad Al-Gank, who I did my master's thesis with, so probably pushed me harder than most professors and probably pushed all his students harder, but, taught me a lot about approaching a problem and surviving. Then there's Dr. Cooper, Gary Cooper, who I remember when I was an undergrad and I was trying to figure out, I was about to graduate, what I wanted to focus in, and I thought I might go into one area. And he kind of pulled me aside and he said, "Jennifer, you will not be challenged enough if you do this, and I would encourage you to look at this other area and focus into that." And that advice was, gosh, just invaluable, because it did. It geared me in a direction to radiation transport physics, which is very mathematical and very challenging. But he was right. In hindsight, if I had gone the other direction, I wouldn't have been as happy as I am with the direction I took. And then, of course, there's Anil Prinja, who was one of the best undergrad professors I've ever had. Like I said, his classes were very challenging, but to me they were fun. So I like that. He was a great advisor to work with, had a very great relationship with him, and enjoyed all the work that I did with him. So that is, of course, insurmountable. And then probably the number one person to thank is my dad. Well, my mom too. But my dad, I remember when I was a junior in high school and I was thinking about colleges and what I wanted to study, his one piece of advice that really resonated with me was pick something that challenges you. He's like, there's nothing worse than being bored. And at that time I was taking physics and I fell in love with nuclear science, and I went for it, and I've never regretted that. I have been challenged every day since. So those are the people that I would thank.
Favorite memory at the School of Engineering was definitely the Civil Engineering Lounge at the basement at Tapey Hall. It was the center of everything. That's where we studied, we socialized. A lot of the relationships that I built and still have today were formed right there. That was the first place we went in the morning, last place we left at night, and it was fun. It was fun. It was a great community. It was a great group of people, and it was a fun thing to be a part of. Well, the School of Engineering degree, from a technical perspective, was really important as far as soil mechanics and strength of materials and the things that a contractor uses on a day-to-day basis. The accounting classes that we took were really important for running a construction business. But I think probably the biggest thing about the degree itself is the process of getting the degree, and the fact that you show that you put in the work. Some of the soft skills that you picked up, presentation skills, the ability to socialize and make friends, and just everything that comes along with the 4 years, or in my case the 5 years that you spent there, were really important. I mean, there's so many people to thank for this award, for my time at the School of Engineering. I think my mom and dad were really critical. They created the foundation. They showed my brother and I a lot of some of the sacrifices that it takes to be able to